It's Tuesday, November 29th, and this is now on HNN. Lava continues to flow from Mauna Loa, but there's still no immediate threat to any communities.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Hawaii Island residents and visitors marvel at the spectacle that is the ongoing Mauna Loa eruption. We have reaction from those folks coming up on This Is Now.
Meanwhile, the VOG is poised to be a growing threat as the eruption continues.
The N95s are best.
These stories plus the new eruption comes after the longest quiet period in recorded history. We'll take you back in time coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you for watching This Is Now and our special team coverage.
That's right. New today, the Mauna Loa lava flow has now cut off access to a key global climate monitoring station.
And check out this new video into our newsroom today. You are looking at the first infrastructure lost by the latest eruption. A private road leading to a key climate monitoring station is now blocked after a lava flow crossed the area overnight.
So it cut both power and access to the NOAA Mauna Loa Observatory facility on Mauna Loa.
The facility is part of NOAA's Global Monitoring Laboratory that looks at atmospheric conditions and also releases data on the world's CO2 emissions. There are only 4 labs like this located across the globe.
Very, very little impact, if any, especially where the lava has crossed the road. Very few people go up there.
Now, despite the continued eruption, officials remind the public that the lava is still not posing an imminent threat to downslope communities. Instead, the message from emergency management authorities is to remain vigilant.
You know, the lava flow hasn't even made it down in the saddle, where typically these lava flows slow down greatly as they progress across there. And as I've said before, the average length of one of these fissure eruptions is approximately 2 weeks or so, or thereabouts. And so if it's that kind of level, and it just depends on, we have not been able to get a really good effusion rate yet. We're hoping to do that today. We just don't know what the advance rates of this lava flow are going to be over that flat ground. We're going to be starting modeling fairly soon, but for putting those models out a couple of weeks in advance usually just ends up to a lot of confusion in the community. And so until we know for sure that the lava flow is going to impact the community, you know, we'll just treat it as something that is, you know, staying up in the saddle area for the time being. And we'll just watch it very, very carefully. We're thinking very, very much about, you know, advances.
Now, this is really important. Saddle Road, a key road that goes across the island, remains open and is not blocked. At this point, lava flows are about 6 miles from the road.
So really the next thing that we worry about is the impact of if the lava were to cross the saddle road. But there's no certainty to that even at this point, and that's probably days away. So we just have to watch, right? We can't really predict what Mother Nature or Pele is going to do here. We can only monitor it and get the information to people so that everybody knows what's going on and can make appropriate decisions.
Now, for those wanting to see the lava glow, here's what the National Park's Jessica Farrakane had to say today.
I want to give a brief update about what's happening in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. The park is open. And the viewing has been spectacular. And this morning I came up, I think it was about a little bit before 6 or something. You can see both eruptions from many viewpoints along the Kilauea caldera. We were in front of Volcano House this morning, and you could see glow from the Kilauea current eruption. You could also look uprift to the slope of Mauna Loa. And Ken, I believe what we were seeing from the park this morning was that fissure number 4. You can see this photo was taken with an old camera this morning. So here to my, I think that's my right, that's the Kilauea lava lake glowing. And that is the Mauna Loa, I believe, fissure number 4. We could see that vigorously this morning. We had a spotting scope up there too, and it looked pretty magnificent.
Now, thousands have flocked to view the Mauna Loa eruption as the lava flow lights up the sky. Casey Lund continues our team coverage with that side of the story.
Aloha from Hawaii Island and the Daniel K. Inouye Highway. And a quick word of caution for folks that are coming out here, especially during the dark hours. When we were out here earlier this morning, there were a lot of folks along this highway standing on their vehicles, trying to get a glimpse, sometimes some pictures and video of this amazing historic event. Be careful, drive with aloha. It's even difficult driving down this highway not to look out your window. So a word of caution there. But a reminder about how spectacular this is, that it draws so many people here to witness it. You can see behind me that fissure that's feeding the lava coming down the northeast rift zone. And again, as we've been reporting, the good news is that at this point, it does seem like it's going to stay there. But we've been out here. We've been on the Kona side. I've been in Pahoa and in Hilo Town. This is the talk of the town. That's all you're hearing from anyone. I've talked to people who have lived there their entire lives that are witnessing something like this really for the first time. Other people remember the 1984 eruption. In fact, earlier this morning, I spoke to one family who had a story just like that.
I saw the 1984 Mauna Loa, and I followed the Pu'u'o eruptions. It's like the goddess returns.
It's epic. I always wanted to see Mauna Loa. Of course, I didn't want the eruption to harm anybody, but I always hope and dream for something like this.
Others I talked to in Hilo Town say they're visiting Hawaii Island but used to call it home. They live on the mainland now, and they feel very grateful that they're visiting during this historic time.
My daughter in Washington texted us saying the volcano is erupting, and it was 5 in the morning, and we woke up, and from my sister's bedroom we opened the blinds and we could see it from there. Yeah, so we have photos.
What was that like?
It was brought back memories, because growing up here, when they used to erupt, we used to head up to the volcano and go and watch it. So it brought back fun memories from growing up on the island. It makes me feel like I'm home again. You know, because this is where we were raised, and we grew up with the legend of Pele. We believe in her, you know, dearly, and so seeing her magnificent volcano erupt, it just brings, you know, home. It's home.
And again, the good news and the reason that I'm smiling in my reports is this is beautiful to share. I'm humbled to be able to share it and grateful that nobody's in danger. We were here during the 2018 eruption. We came to know so many people that I called friends and now family that lost everything in that eruption event. Much different than when fissures were popping up in people's driveways and in neighborhoods. This, again, is most likely going to stay in the Northeast Rift Zone and away from communities. Reporting on Hawaii Island, I'm Casey Lund. For now, we'll send things back to you.
And a lot of folks wondering about the air quality across the state. Let's turn things over now to Dylan and Cheta with more on that.
The state health department is concerned that the Mauna Loa eruption is having a negative impact on air quality across the state, and they are urging people with respiratory conditions to take precautions. Now, air quality monitors weren't showing any major problems in heavily populated areas. Those more susceptible, however, to VOG are being asked to stay aware of the changing conditions. Straub allergist and immunologist Dr. Jeffrey Kam said those with breathing difficulties should stay indoors with an air conditioner or an air purifier.
The N95s are best. They do not get rid of the chemicals, unfortunately, though. So it does help with the particulate dust and particles.
Additionally, face masks can be effective against particulates like falling ash, Pele's hair, or shards of glass, but they will not protect you against sulfur dioxide, VOG, or other common gases. Now, if you're feeling the symptoms of headaches, watery eyes, and other flu-like symptoms, including a lack of energy, you may be feeling the impacts of VOG, and you again are urged to take precautions. For This Is Now, I'm Dylan Ancheta.
Thank you, Dylan. We got more breaking news coming into the H&N Digital Center right now. Let's head out live to our Eddie Dowd, who is on Hawaii Island. Those shelters are in the process of closing right now. Eddie, what's the latest?
Yeah, Jonathan, very big news indeed. Joining me is Maurice. He is the Director of Parks and Recreation for Hawaii Island. Maurice, you guys were busy last night. You actually had people stay overnight at the shelter here in Kona.
Correct. We had about 46 people inside and about another 50 or so outside in the shelter. There was a migrant farm just north of Moiliili that the manager made the decision to evacuate the farm when the lava started. A lot of these guys had nowhere to go. and so they decided to come to the shelter, and we were able to accommodate them overnight.
And now tell me about the decision that went into closing these 2 shelters on Hawaii Island.
Yes, once Civil Defense let us know that there was no longer danger to property or life, we decided to close it, and we picked 12 o'clock today so that we have time to clean the facility, clean the pool, and get them ready to open back up for the public tomorrow.
Now, Maurice, I know one thing officials have been stressing is the situation is fluid. It could change at any time depending on the lava. How quickly can your staff get these shelters back open if needed?
Well, we got the call at about midnight. We manned our emergency operations center at 12:30. By 12:45, we had both shelters open.
So really the answer is, I mean, in times, it's very quick.
Yeah, about 15 minutes, that is our goal, and we're really lucky because we have a lot of our staff who live and work in the areas. We're able to pull our lifeguards from the pool and have them man the shelter as well, so it worked out for us.
And are the items and things needed like stocked up over here?
Yeah, Red Cross has a contingency for cots, bedding, and everything else, so as soon as we gave them the call, within about an hour, hour and a half, they were able to bring everything out.
All right, thank you, Maurice, for all the work you and your staff have been doing to make sure everyone has a place to stay during this eruption. And we'll have continuing coverage throughout the day. We'll be heading to Volcanoes National Park, so stick with Hawaii News Now as we'll be on the ground live on Hawaii Island. Jonathan?
Awesome, Eddie. Thank you for your great reporting out there. We'll continue to watch for it.
Yeah, and we also got an update from Governor David Ige. This is what he had to say earlier today on Sunrise.
It's all happening in the right area. It's in that saddle area where the flows move a lot slower, and certainly we are on top of it. I did sign an emergency proclamation late yesterday afternoon. It's the 42nd during my time as governor. We want to be prepared. We're preparing to access, if we need to, National Guard. We also are looking at increasing the air monitoring for the Department of Health. You know, they have 10 monitors all around the Big Island. We're looking at what sites we need to establish, mobile sites, so that we can keep on top of the air quality.
Yeah, I know it's a different circumstance, Governor, but 2018, people lost homes. Hundreds of homes were lost. People complained at the time, lack of communication, lack of resources available. What did you learn from that event that prepares you for this one and the response that's coming?
Well, I do know that it is all about communication, and that's one of the reasons I signed the emergency proclamation, so we could get that rolling. You know, we've had conversations with our federal partners just in case a federal emergency declaration is necessary. But you know, we are in constant contact with the Hawaii County Civil Defense and the Mayor's Office. We want to make sure that we are in communication so that we can be giving the same information out to the public.
So you've signed the proclamation, you're ready to go. We're hoping this does not threaten any communities on Hawaii Island. Should that change, what is the contingency plan if it starts to head for neighborhoods?
We actually have very extensive plans depending on which way the lava flows. Working with Hawaii County Civil Defense, they have every scenario covered. So, you know, we are prepared just depending on what happens.
I don't know if this is a question more geared toward a scientist, but what are the odds that it does change direction or that another fissure opens up and that heads down the other way?
Well, and that's one of the things I think that we know. Mauna Loa eruptions are very different, and we have to be prepared, and that's why I encourage people to stay connected to Hawaii County Civil Defense. They have boots on the ground, and they are monitoring the lava flow every single day, multiple times a day, to be prepared. And Mauna Loa flows do change directions quickly, and so people should be prepared.
We have less than a week left with you as our governor in office. We have worked with you for the last 8 years, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't ask what you have going on in the next several days and really life after office.
Well, I mean, it's a race to the end to finish up everything, and finally, all the tax returns, the rebates are out. I do know we have a staffer that filed their income tax on the absolute last day, and they actually got their tax rebate. So we were able to complete that. And then it's just the normal kinds of transition things. You know, I'm packing my office. I've been at the state capitol for 37 years. I'm packing my home to move out of Washington Place. I'm renovating our home out in Aiea, and we finally got the last piece. The cabinets are in, so all components are in the state, and we're not subject to supply chain issues, and you know, everything else is just normal.
Yeah, we forget that you're a normal human being sometimes, considering everything you have to deal with. How about this, real quick, and maybe just in a broad term, obviously there are a number of issues, of course, Mauna Kea, Aloha Stadium, but how do you transition with Governor-elect Josh Green and moving in to do what you want, but also releasing some of that responsibility to him?
Yeah, we do have a transition team, and we meet almost every day now, especially as we get closer to the end. You know, they are included in briefings on Mauna Loa, for example, just so that they are prepared and there is a seamless transition, especially during this kind of situation where we have 3 emergency proclamations in force, right? The first to pay SNAP benefits, we know that we want to continue to give the enhanced SNAP benefits. We have the Access Deer Challenge on Maui, and so certainly that's an ongoing emergency. And then this third one is Mauna Loa. And we have been working with their transition team. We have a transition team on our side, making sure that there's a smooth handoff.
Well, we want to say thank you for your service to our state, the people of Hawaii. 37 years, almost as many years as it's been since Mauna Loa erupted.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just thinking of that because I do remember not being in elective office, but going to see the last eruption because, as you might recall, it was one of the rare times that both volcanoes were erupting at the same time.
Governor Ige today talking to our Sunrise team. You can watch that interview on your H&N digital platforms as well. Want to take you to something really interesting. Look at this air quality map. It's sort of a modeling that UH researchers put out. And so you can see it at the beginning, and whoa, it covers almost the whole state. I think right now it's not quite to Oahu. Maui's sort of getting the first of it, and then to us as the day and next day moves on. But something we'll be keeping a close eye on here at H&N. For your weather update, let's toss it over to Guy Hockey.
It will be cloudy today. It will be cloudy, and there will be scattered showers from this disturbance, which is still very juicy and moving through the state. We're expecting fewer showers by tomorrow morning, especially for Kauai and Oahu, should be fairly dry. Leeward sides actually across the state should be fairly dry, and then that moisture going to linger around the east end of the state through Thursday, and then as we head into the weekend, we'll see drier conditions. However, early next week, Monday into Tuesday, look for another front to drop in from the northwest with breezy conditions coming about that time. So your 7-day forecast looking pretty nice. So again, cloudy skies today. There will be some spotty showers from time to time. Some of them could even be briefly heavy, but widespread heavy rain not expected. And then trade winds come back with drier conditions starting tomorrow, and those trade winds will linger all the way into Saturday. So that's a nice long run of the best weather on the planet, but we got to get through the cloudy, semi-damp weather today.
Thank you so much, Guy. So Southwest Airlines is expected to fully resume operations today. If you remember yesterday, it canceled multiple flights to and from Hilo as a precaution because of the eruption. Hawaiian Airlines delayed some flights, but they didn't cancel any. And aviation experts say eruptions send ash plumes high into the sky that can damage plane engines, but that is often not the case with eruptions here in the islands.
I had a friend who spent the holidays over on the Big Island, Hilo side, trying to come back yesterday. A lot of people know people, but it was her birthday. Happy birthday, Jessica. But they had to stay an extra day, of course, like so many others. Yeah. Casey had trouble getting over there. We were talking to our friend Ryan Ozawa yesterday on Sunrise. You can watch that interview, having trouble getting over there as well. All right, another update to get to schools, my friends. Schools will remain open and are open today on the Big Island. School officials say they are keeping a close eye, monitoring conditions very closely, and will provide updates to students, staff, and parents about any situations that change. The Department of Education says it's goal is to keep those schools open as long as it's safe to do so, but they will notify the public immediately in case of a closure, of course. Factors include direction of lava flow, air quality, and transportation needs. We'll keep on top of that situation, of course, if anything changes.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, so our next story is really cool. I'm really excited about this. So scientists say Mauna Loa's eruptions have been legendary, and the heroic efforts to deal with them have also been so. Our Daryl Huff explains why this volcano has a reputation for grave danger.
The January 1984 eruption of Mauna Loa happened simultaneously with dramatic fountains at nearby Kilauea. Elisa Yadao was a young reporter for KGMB.
Initially, it was wonderful. You know, it was exciting. The two volcanoes were erupting, and I've never seen anything like it in my life.
But within days, it became clear the flow was slowly, steadily heading towards Hilo. The civil defense director faced a terrified community.
I knew that still today is the same. When Mauna Loa erupts, it will create this like the word tsunami because we have a history of death. When Mauna Loa erupts, it will create a different fear from Kilauea.
And in the gym, you could see the panic on people's faces because there's nothing you can do if the lava flow is coming.
That flow stopped 4.5 miles from Hilo, far from the first time the town was spared.
The city of Hilo and its water supply are in danger. So bombs crash into the lava stream.
In 1935, General George Patton sent bombers, which had little effect. The flow stopped on its own. In 1881, as a slow-moving flow again approached the town, Princess Ruth Ke'elikolani left Oahu answering the call for help.
To sail across and hike up to the flow front and beseech Pele to stop erupting.
Mauna Loa has erupted 34 times since they started counting in 1843, usually with lots of fast-flowing lava that can reach the ocean to the west in hours. Geology professor Scott Rowland says Mauna Loa eruptions are rarer now, but still inspire awe and fear.
If we were talking 100 years ago, then we would say, oh yeah, Mauna Loa is erupting again, no big deal, it last erupted 7, 8 years ago, and it would not be such a surprise.
And there would have been a lot fewer people downslope than there are today. Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Huffy. And scan this QR code on your screen. You can send us any photos and videos of the lava flow. We've been loving everything you guys have been sending. Thank you so much. And of course, stay with Hawaii News Now for the very latest on the eruption. Also, download the HNN app to get any emergency alerts sent directly to your phone. And, keep those images coming.
Yeah, get this. I was just checking with our digital producer, Davis Pittner. More than 400 photos sent in. That might be a record for our submissions. I'm not sure on that, but that's a lot for us. And I appreciate every one of them. So in honor of that, we want to leave you today with some of those images of the eruption. I'll just play it out for you. Have a good day.